Ryan, welcome to the show. I've been looking forward to this conversation all week because I just talked to Jim McLaughlin. I'm a little nervous about Texas. I feel like we could have gotten 3. It's very Trump. It's like, why go for 3 when you can get 5? And the question I have just out of the gate, like, how concerned should we be about whether or not we squeeze too much out of this?
Well, I mean, to get 2 was easy. I could have done 2 with a crayon and a one of those placemats you see at a diner. The thing about doing 5 is that you really have to bet that the Latino vote is not going to have a recession for Republican support the way that it had in several other elections. And you have to hope that the new kind of baseline for Latino support in Texas is around 45 to close to 50%. That's a big bet. Certainly with the Tejano support, I think there seems consistency. With other groups, you're not exactly so sure. I think that the 5 number is a little on the riskier side, and I think that the retaliatory fears from other states is also on the risky side. The bigger question is Republicans could have won 2 if they didn't change the map, right? I think Vicente Gonzalez and Henry Cuellar were slated to lose in southern Texas, basically because the districts had moved past the Democratic Party. The other 3 districts, if it brings other states to do redistricting and there is a rescission of Latino support and we don't win all 3 of them, was the juice worth the squeeze? I'm not exactly so sure. And, for all the conversations that we've had about, not we, but the media has had that, oh, look how partisan gerrymandered Republican states are. We didn't start, I think it's important to put in this context, we did not start this fire. Illinois, Maryland, California, everything Kathy Hochul tried and failed to do in New York as she overstepped her bounds has shown that the Democrats will stop at nothing to redistrict. You're a student of history, so I'll bring this up to you. The Democrats have used redistricting in the census, after the census, for decades to hold Republicans from winning more House seats. In 1991, you know how many House seats Republicans controlled in redistricting?
52.
5.
What?
2 in New Hampshire, the 3 in Utah. Democrats had a lock on redistricting for decades, absolute decades of complete control between the Democratic southern states and, landslide losses in some preceding years that mattered. I don't blame Republicans for doing this after what we've seen Republicans do. I don't think that it's necessarily good for our democracy as a whole. And I worry about that these baseline Trump numbers will hold in a midterm election.
Okay, so let's just stick with Texas for a second, and then I want to broaden this out. So we could have let's just level set this. We probably could have picked up 2 without changing the map. Fair?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and nothing would, because the Cuellar seat and the other one would have just, by demographics and the fact that like Henry Cuellar is being prosecuted, probably would have helped us. So, okay.
Bob Menendez, and Santos, the 3 big members of Congress who spend time in jail together, allegedly. I wonder
if they maybe they could all get one, like a group or something.
That's like a reality. House. That's a podcast from
a group house, like Fed house. I don't know. We'll think on that one. But when they pushed, here's the thing that was amazing to me. I haven't, when I was at the NRCC back in 2000 or whatever, you heard members, I like to say the word squeal on both sides, like Democrats in states where Democrats were trying to get more seats, or Republicans, same thing, where they were like, because, some Republican member has a 70% district, going down to 60 might mean that they actually have to show up a little and do some work. So they would squeal, I don't like this map. This map isn't good. I haven't heard anyone from Texas, at least publicly, squeal that they're concerned. That initially, and not just initially, but continues to be, to me, a tell that there's not a sense of like, hey, you're screwing with my district. None of the current incumbents, at least that I can tell publicly, have expressed dismay.
Right. Publicly, I haven't heard anything. Privately, I've heard they've been a little annoyed by it, because you could run for re-election on $300,000 and not really have to worry. I think that there are probably 3 of these new seats that are 3 seats total that are competitive, and the 28 or 29 total Republicans that are going to be fine. They'll be safe. That it won't matter. Sorry, all 28 incumbent Republicans will be fine, so it won't matter.
So if you're one of the 28 that currently is in office, there's nothing that's being done that you really have to worry about. Is that
not,
what you're saying?
That's basically it. There's not really. I mean, Beth Van Dyne's district maybe it'd be a stretch, but no. I think all the changes really come from the new districts that they're trying to make, and they're trying to make these new districts. The QARC, the Vicente Gonzalez seats are like now Trump plus 15. There was enough room.
So they're gone. They're gone. No matter what, even if they don't go to jail, they're just not going to win.
They're just not going to win. And the Vicente Gonzalez and there was enough with Maya Flores' district and Chip Roy's district to take pieces here and there. It's the Houston seat, the Austin seat, and the Dallas seat that really sit there and cause worry for concern. And this is now if we have 2 more elections, 26, 28, and 30 in this district, right? There's 3 more elections. Parts of Texas are the fastest growing in the country, especially in the Austin area and in the Houston area. Dallas is not growing as fast as the other 2, but that whole region is growing immensely fast. There's no telling that these seats will not be more competitive in 2 to 4 years. I don't know. I think that privately Republicans in Texas are feeling. I think here's the bigger question. I'd like to ask you this, Sean. What would they rather do? Have to show up or still be in the majority next year? That's the question that they're asking themselves.
Be a chair or vice subcommittee chair or be in the minority.
Yeah. Would I rather be in the minority or have to show up in my own district actually 6 times a year instead of going to Florida, which is what half of them do anyway?
I had Brianna Lyman on the show, and she said that there was this Galveston case that really set a spark off in this. Is there anything to that?
I have not heard that was setting anyone off. No.
Okay.
Maybe she's right, but I don't know it.
Right. So, I mean, again, I think that, so let's just play this out for and then move on. But the worst case scenario under this now is what?
The worst case scenario for Republicans under this is that either they can't get it done, right? Because
let's just say they get it done. I mean,
okay, so worst case scenario, they get it done. I read a poll today that showed that 50% of Latinos who voted for Biden and then voted for Trump, 50% of that group were considering voting for Democrats in 2026. Right?
Okay.
That there was a natural decision, not 100%, but 50%. So the trajectory towards Republicans continues, but it's going to go. It's like a roller coaster. It's not a complete thing. It's going to have bumps and valleys. If we're in a valley and Democrats have a tough year, and I'll just say if Ken Paxton's the nominee, and it's $1 billion race in Texas, with Democrat turnout being what midterms have been like in 18, and the map goes from Trump plus 15 to Paxton or whoever plus 2, you're going to see some houses in deep, deep trouble and money being spent in Texas from candidates that I don't think know how to campaign in competitive general elections. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. I coined a phrase that I've said before called political atrophy, where members who've been in office for 20 years have forgotten how to utilize a political apparatus that got them elected in the first place. They just haven't had to use it. It's like a muscle at the gym. If you don't work it out. And so you're going to have political atrophy from a lot of these people who haven't faced a re-election in 10, 15, 20 years. They haven't raised a ton of money. They don't know how to do it anymore. Okay. Is this the new norm though? Like, you know what I mean? Like where we used to do it every 10 years and that was it. And now I feel like the new cool thing is every couple of years, you're right. The Democrats tried this in New York. The courts, ironically, considering they controlled them, shut them down. Is this just going to be the new thing where everybody figures once I get control of all the chambers in my state legislature, we're going for it?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of Republican states who have refused to do this. Like Nebraska is not moving, really. Indiana is not moving on this. Doesn't look like Kentucky's moving because Kentucky can knock off one Democratic seat. Indiana could knock off one, if not both. They could shore up the Don Bacon seat in Nebraska for sure. In Kansas, Kansas, they don't have the governorship. But if they have a governorship, they could certainly make that one district in Kansas. There's in New Hampshire. They could make a Republican seat in New Hampshire for sure. But they don't. So I think that the amount of states willing to do this so far North Carolina did it in the redistricting. Ohio seems like they're going that way. Texas did it. There's not that many states really willing to sit there and go further, right? There's also the question of the Voting Rights Act and make things VRA compliant. There is a lot of states we could have all Republican seats in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and South Carolina, and take a seat off of the table in Georgia, if not 2 seats actually in Georgia, and we just can't because of the VRA. So there's those things holding back from every state kind of doing it, both political willpower on the Republican side and the VRA in some states.
And also, don't some constitutions prevent it? I mean, some of the states literally say you can't do it until.
Yeah. Well, that's like New Jersey. New Jersey's constitution says you cannot do it, right? And other states like New York, there was a constitutional amendment around independent redistricting that the people voted for. They tried to repeal it, and I think in 2022, it went down in flames. The repeal went down by 11 points in New York, of all places. California has the same exact thing. Schwarzenegger put it in back, a decade and a half ago. So a lot of these Democrat states that want to sit there and do this mass redistricting, they really can't.
Doesn't Gavin Newsom say that he's going to? Does that mean he'll just defy the law? Like,
Sean, he's running for president. He's got to be the guy who can beat up Trump.
I know, but at some point, I think he looks useless if he says we can do it and then he fails. It actually looks worse than trying. I mean, like if he tells everyone we can do this, and then doesn't do anything, it's gonna look like a political loss.
He has also said he was going to abolish homelessness in San Francisco. I mean,
wait, so he didn't? He didn't do that?
Listen, never let good packaging let you make you understand that the toy inside is really bad. Like,
I just after he said that, Ryan, I was like, I just assumed homelessness was gone. My bad. Okay, that's on me. That is on me. I will admit I did not follow up. I just thought it was done. It was gone.
If you look at the Democratic states where the Democrats have the pure political power to do this by muscle alone, right? New Mexico, all Democrats anyway. Oregon, only one Republican. They gerrymandered every other seat. Illinois, gerrymandered every seat besides 3 Republicans. Can't do it anymore. The whole Northeast, all Democrats. Maryland is the only place with a Republican seat, and they kind of can't. I guess they can kind of just but they're not going to do anything with that one seat.
Andy Harris is trapped. I mean, at some point, you literally have to move that guy out into the ocean if you want to get rid of Andy Harris.
Well, you have to sit there and use that one bridge. Basically, there's a bridge that connects the rest of Maryland to Andy Harris's district, and that bridge has to sit there and you have to split the bridge in 3 different directions. I mean, that's how hard they have to sit there to go after Andy Harris. But of all the seats in all the states, I think there's only 5 current Republicans in a state that Democrats don't have full redistricting control. So what are they going to do anymore? I mean, they can go through the court process. They can try to get their constitutions changed. They can fight over this. Good luck. It's going to take you a couple years. And there's a very good chance that both the voters reject these constitutional amendments because it happened in blue states before, and that the judges just throw them out. And you spend millions of dollars trying to get that even done. In California, I know there's members of the California Assembly who are Democrats who said flat out, we're not doing this gerrymander stuff. We're not doing it. And the California Democratic congressman said they'll go for it, but you have to let us draw the lines, which they don't want that to happen either.
Yeah, they're like, no, we'll do it. All right, so it sounds to me, we got Texas, it's going forward for the most part. Democrats, it doesn't sound like there's much that they can do. Just quickly, what are the Republican additional opportunities? I hear Ohio, I hear Florida. What's real?
Oh, well, real talk is Ohio, because that you can pick up 3 Democrat seats, the Marcy Kaptur's seat, the Cincinnati-based seat, and the seat just south of Cleveland. All could be Republican with the blink of an eye. Now, the judges...
Okay, so and?
Well, I mean, I've heard they're moving forward, but the judges in the state are much more moderate than the legislature is. So who knows if they're going to get it done, because their maps were thrown out last time by the judges. So we'll wait and see what that goes on. Florida, it doesn't look like, listen, DeSantis put together a magnificent map in the 2020 election. I don't know if he's willing, after the 2020 election, in 2021, the map that DeSantis put forward for the congressional seats was more bullish than most people expected. They can knock off Debbie Wasserman Schultz, which would be so great. They could knock off the Jewish Democrat from Southern Florida, whose name now just slipped my mind because I'm thinking Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They could knock him off very, very easily. It will come to me probably 20 minutes after this.
I was thinking Wexler, but he's gone.
No, it's not.
I know, but I was just going through those districts.
It's like the Palm Beach, Miami area. Anyway, there's 2 in South Florida they could get rid of. There's a seat south of Orlando that they could easily get rid of, that large, almost triangular looking seat. I forget who represents it. And they could absolutely get rid of now, which is incredible. They can get rid of the St. Petersburg Democrat seat. So there's easily seats that they could just draw out right there without blinking an eye, because Florida, is to the races with how Republican it's becoming. They're going to make Alabama look like a blue state pretty soon. Indiana could, probably won't. Kentucky could. Oh, actually, there's no Democratic governor. They can't.
Right.
Indiana could, but they probably won't. New Hampshire could, probably won't, because they could draw New Hampshire 1 into a Republican seat, probably a Trump +7 seat that make it really competitive, but they probably won't. Those are the 2 other big states I can think of.
All right. Well, this is super helpful, Ryan. I really appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us. And I'd love to get you back as we progress through this process. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.